Hello and welcome to my channel. I am ZodiacBandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 37 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This was a fucking doozy. We start with Chetney poking his head out of the exit tunnel from the last episode, and we see he's looking into the dark sky, and off in the distance he sees the city with the sun tree. Chetney tells everyone it's a dead end, they should just turn around, it's game over, don't have to worry about it. Fern pokes her head up and says it's nice, and the tree is very beautiful. Chetney asks if they are seeing the same thing. FCG and Imogen poke their heads up now. Imogen says that it's all very concerning, and FCG agrees with Fern and says it's actually rather beautiful. Chetney starts to sniff around to see if he can smell any enemies. He doesn't smell anything in specific, but he does smell necromancy all around them, as he is trained in smelling such things, apparently. Which, I guess that's a class feature, but I didn't picture that in Chetney's background anywhere. Orem begins to question what the fuck this place even is, because it's crazy. And, they didn't really take a minute to really talk about it. Some of the party are still thinking about finding a place to rest. They're still a good distance from the city and from the tree. They start heading for the city, following Chetney, as his nose will point the way. Ashton says that Chetney's nose will always point the way he's looking. Smart ass. They get up to their first set of houses. The whole area is stone, much like the stone cabin from the last episode. However, there's a bit more color to these houses. They're muted colors, but they're still there. Orem sees the rest of the city after a certain distance is also shifting, or is just shifting. Orem wants to see if they can go into one of these houses, because he really wants to rest, because he needs his, Battle Master points back. He tries the doorknob, but it breaks off when he tries to twist it. Ashton then tries to push on one of the windows, breaking the glass, and reveals that it's just rock and stone behind it, and there's no space within the house. They choose that rest isn't an option and want to move through the city to find Laudna. At this point, everyone can see that the shifting buildings are happening off in the distance, and they see that it's making a path for them and blocking other routes. Chetney leading the way. This seemingly goes wrong, as after a bit of travel they come across a stable, which seems to be deserted and empty. And as they start moving their way around it, the ground begins to shake, and bones begin to emerge from it, blocking the path that they were currently on. Orem jumps to the top of the roofs and sees that the only thing that really sticks out is the sun tree, with the ropes hanging from it. Ashton scrapes the bones that just popped out of the ground, and it's just regular bone, but after a bit, where he scraped begins to bleed. This is when the party starts to question if it's Delilah or Laudna's bones, which, gross. Orem then tries to map out a path before the city shifts once more. He thinks he has a plan after looking at it for a bit. Orem leads the way for the rest of the party from the rooftops, and this seems to be going much better than when Chetney was leading. As Orem is on top, guiding the party, the building he is on begins to move and goes to block the party. He stabs into it with his sword, and this allows the party to pass. He then, after a couple seconds, sees blood emerge from this roof, which is gross, and then hears tiles breaking behind him. As more bone begin to emerge from the buildings, he jumps down and joins the rest of the party. They hear a voice down a very small alley that Ashton might barely be able to fit through, but the rest are all much smaller than him, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Imogen opens her mind to try to find whatever the small voice was, and she hears a young boy. The boy says, "I felt you following me, Matilda. Why is that?" Imogen looks to the boy and sees a small, red-haired 13-year-old, 12 to 13-year-old, wearing very common clothing. In front of him is a flickering shadow with purple glow. Obviously Laudna. The boy asks her if she wants to play a game called Secret Treasure. Imogen reaches out to Laudna and tells her not to trust the boy. Laudna answers, saying why she likes him. Imogen begs Laudna not to trust him. Laudna begins to move away from the boy. The boy says, "It's just a game. Don't you want your treasure? All you have to do is tell me a secret." She begins to move away. He says, "Here, have it," and throws dirt at her, causing Lana to flee through the wall. Imogen tries to see where she went through the wall, but can't. Kind of hard to see where something goes through a wall on stone. And then reaches out to her mentally. Orem looks at the boy and tries to identify him. He has lower AC but much higher HP apparently. And then the boy walks off. Imogen calls out for Laudna, but then changes the name and asks for Matilda. Matilda answers Imogen. Imogen asks where she is, and Matilda says she is in a barn. She says it's red and she's in the top of it. Orem goes back to the roofs to look for the barn. He sees many twisted buildings, homes, inns, shops, etc., and then sees one in perfect condition, not twisted in any way, not far away. It is a red barn with a lantern glow within it, unlike the rest of the buildings with no such glow. The party moved that way. As they go towards it, the city is moving around them. Buildings begin to appear and disappear at seemingly random, and a large spire appears and moves toward the party. The party run from it, with Orem guiding them. The spear is chasing them, and bones begin to emerge from it as well. The spire collapses, and the party are able to avoid it. There is a bunch of broken stone everywhere, and within the tower is a 15-foot tall skull. Giant skull? That's a freaking huge skull, to be totally honest, but it matches the rest of the ribs that were poking out of the ground earlier. They've reached the barn, but as they get close, the rest of the city tries to block them, but the city doesn't move like the spire does, and they're able to climb the ladder and get to the top of the barn. As they climb the barn, they see it is covered in a ton of black vines. Inside, they see a few drawings and some dolls and a lit lamp. One of the dolls is picked up, and a shape of a 3-year-old emerges holding said doll. She acknowledges Orem as he asks if she is alone, and she starts playing with the doll, seemingly kind of not answering. Imogen asks, mentally, the girl who the dolls are, and the girl, obviously at this point, Matilda, or Laudna, says they are a nice lady and a bird that will eventually fly her away from here. Imogen says she can be that bird, and Matilda asks where they would go. Imogen says somewhere safe. Imogen asks if there is a mean woman around, and Matilda says yes, she won't let me leave, and that she's at the massive scary tree. The party look at the drawings and see a family of 3, and one of the drawings is just scribbles. The scribbles are what is beyond the city. That is what everything is now to her. Orem asks Matilda if she'd like to go with them, but she can't. The tree won't let her leave. Chetney notices the vines around the barn are now moving. Chetney says they need to go, and not with her, because she is a trap. He goes to leave, but the vines cut him off. Imogen goes to ask Matilda for a way out, but she vanishes. Orem leaps out and avoids the vines, and Imogen isn't too far behind him. Orem catches her on the way down, however, as she was going to have a rough landing. Chetney, Fern, and FCG try to cut their way out to no avail. Chetney then takes out some dynamite and throws it into the vines and says, everyone should back up. They turn around and see that on the other side, the vines are completely blocking off the other exit. The explosion goes off and opens a hole for all of them to get out, but as they try to leave, some of them get caught up by the vines and are drained of some of their hit dice. Everyone gets out, and they now want to move toward the tree. They begin running towards the tree, as they now know that is their goal, and on the way there, they see another house with lights within it. Imogen reaches out to Matilda once more, and Matilda tells her that she's busy and she's getting dressed. It's a very important day. Imogen tries to tell her not to go to the dinner, but Laudna cuts off contact. Imogen and Fern go up to the house window and see 2 people within the house. One the female wearing a green dress, and the other wearing a suit that doesn't fit. These people don't look like any members of Vox Machina, as far as they're aware. Matilda comes down the stairs, and her mom says she's got to do good today. It's important, and she's wearing her best dress. Matilda's father calls her mother, Laudna, and Ashton goes off, saying it's not real and Imogen can't change the past. This is all going to happen no matter what. Imogen wants to help Matilda and reaches out to her again and tries to tell her that it's all not real and that she should remember. Matilda looks at the party and then looks back to her parents and then vanishes into the room. The parents are angry at Imogen and they jump through the glass window at Imogen and Fern as gray tendrils wrapping around their bodies. The rest of the party jump into action. The party work together well here and they are able to take out the gray tendrils. Ashton takes out the one attacking Imogen, and the other one surrounding Fern tries to enter her body to possess her, but Fern plugs her nose and blows all the air out of her ears, blowing the gray tendril out, allowing Chetney to kill it. They now look for a way to the tree and see that there is a single path right towards it. The party heal up after this as they realize there's no being picked back up after they go down. They just leave the dreamscape. Chetney and Imogen both drink a potion of possibility here. The party walk to the sun tree together with Ashton in the back. As they get close, purple energy begins to gather and forms a feminine shape. It's Delilah. The party try to talk to her, seeing if she will allow Laudna to come back without her and then bring her back in some other form or some other way. Delilah says that she has many ways to be brought back, but this is the most convenient, and she doesn't really want to let go of Laudna anyway. And that there is no bringing her back without Delilah. Orem sees up in the tree is a cage made of branches, probably holding Laudna. After a bit of this conversation of constantly going back and forth over whether they're able to separate the two in a nice way so that they can eventually bring back Delilah, Delilah refuses, and they ask to see or speak with Laudna before coming to any conclusions. After some convincing, Delilah pulls Laudna down from the tree. Imogen tells her that she will bring her home, and Laudna says that she forgot how much she hates it here, and is pulled back to the top of the tree by Delilah. Fucking bitch. Imogen is now in a furious rage and attacks Delilah. It's now fucking on. Orem tries to get to the tree while the others try to fight Delilah. With Delilah hitting the party hard with legendary attacks and is currently flying around. The tree is also defending her, and she's able to summon skeletons to fight for her. This is easily taken care of by FCG, as FCG has Destroy Undead now, which is awesome. Delilah flying is pissed at FCG, but Fern tells Mister to go into the tree to find Laudna, and then Fern casts Earthbind, which is the first time I think I've ever seen anyone use that spell. Straight up, never have I seen anyone use that spell before. I don't know if it's new. I'm pretty sure it's not. But this spell is so beyond clutch, it's not even funny. This spell was awesome. And I firmly believe this spell won them the entire fight. Imogen then calls upon Ruidus and takes some damage herself, but then also hits Delilah with red lightning, which also makes the Sun Tree react. This is when they get the idea that maybe attacking the Sun Tree is the correct option. Then Delilah takes her first victim. FCG is hit with a necrotic blast and then disappears. Fern then begins to target the tree with all of her fire, but then the tree swallows Laudna. Imogen, Chetney, and Ashton continue their attack on Delilah for a little bit, Chetney using new Crimson abilities and Ashton kind of getting in her face and making sure that she can't really do too much to the spellcasters. And Imogen, wanting to save some spells, is slowly just chipping away at Delilah. Orem, moving within the tree like an expert monkey, is now targeted by Delilah and is hit and taken out as well, and also vanishes. The focus then turns to the tree. As Fern has been blasting the shit out of this thing with Mister, Imogen then, who wanted to save her 3rd level spell to message Pike just in case so that they could be pulled out, decided that she's going to cast a lightning bolt, which hits the tree as the tree does not get to make any saves, and this seemingly defeats Delilah Briarwood, making her scream in agony, and then she disappears. After this, everything turns white, once again, terrifying, but then they all wake up on Pike's floor. This is where the episode ends. Matthew fucking Mercer. First of all, it's crazy how long, this was 4.5 hours long, but I was able to like sort of break it down, I think within like 14 minutes, which I'm shocked by. I thought it would take a little longer than that. This was an awesome episode. Tons of fun. So much good shit happened in it. We got to learn a ton about Matilda. Like, that's crazy. I really wonder if that's just, if that's actually her name and Laudna's her mother's name, or if that's like her second name and they just, she decided she's done with being Matilda, she's now Laudna. I'm really intrigued by that mystery alone. The redheaded boy 100% was Whitestone Andy. And you know what? Fuck Whitestone Andy. That kid's a prick. I have no idea what the skulls are supposed to be. I'm assuming that's like Delilah, because I don't imagine Laudna would be actively trying to block them. So I'm assuming that's supposed to be Delilah, because throughout the fight, as she kept losing, she kept turning into more of a skeletal figure. So I would imagine that is supposed to be Delilah blocking them, along with the rest of the city. But eventually the city kind of parted ways for them, so I would imagine the city was more so trying to guide them in the right direction, but the bones were trying to block that correct direction, so don't know. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm shocked the first person to go down was FCG. I figured they would be able to heal themselves a bit more, but I guess with them splitting damage and taking their own damage and not really healing themselves, more concerned with the others, makes sense. Orem got shafted. Orem was trying to get through the tree so hard and had like half cover and still got blasted. So that was something. It was just a fun episode. Honestly, it was another one of those episodes where I was considering not stopping at midnight and just watching it the whole way through. But yeah, very fun episode. Very much enjoyed that. I am shaking. Not because it's cold in my room or anything, because it is. But I'm so excited for next week. First of all, a little bit of a peek into my life. I took Thursday and Friday off next week, so I don't have to worry about, working on Friday. So I get to stay up and watch the whole episode, and then I get all day to make the video. So hopefully that video will be like one of the best ones I make. So yeah, that's next week. This week is finishing up this video, which I should be doing that now. So yeah, see you guys Tuesday with whatever video I choose to make then. Peace.